Guys, I lied again. I said we were gonna do female gaze today, but we won't be doing that just yet. So turns out, over the last 6 months, I unearthed like a whole theory iceberg that we're gonna have to establish as basis before we can get to the fun stuff. It did get slightly out of hand, so I had to split it up into several videos, so this will be part 1 for now, and we'll just add to that playlist until it'll... Yes. When I say iceberg, I mean iceberg. I mean, holy shit, you guys. You see, I have found the missing link of gender theory. Growing up, feminists kept telling me legends of this strange thing they called the patriarchy, of men who would do horrible things to pretty little things like me, of men who would try and stand in my way wherever I might go, of men who would love me so much they'd do the most twisted things to get their way. That those men were what happened to people like us. That it would be inevitable. I mean, I was a girl after all. And they reassured me that by their oath and under their guidance, I would find the power to overcome those men, to protect myself from them, to live out my dreams, whatever they may be. Feminism would make sure of that. But that's all it was in the end, wasn't it? This patriarchy. I never actually met men like that growing up. Even though I was a girl, those things they told me scary stories about never actually happened to me. You see, I grew up among women. Those who raised me and my family, my teachers, my peers. Anyone who had an impact on my life was a woman. There were men in my life, my fathers, my classmates, but none of them held power over me in the same way. They weren't authority figures, they weren't in charge of me, they weren't my peer group. Men can't well oppress you if none are around to do the oppressing. So much for the inevitable. That doesn't mean it was all rosy. I did experience discrimination and oppression based on my gender, but it wasn't from men. It was from women in my life. They try and control you, your body, your looks, how you move and behave. You can't be loud, you can't be fussy, you need to listen, be nice. Be pretty for the boys, but not too much or you're a whore. Fat-shamed if you're not mere skin and bones. Regarded with envy if you are. You can't wear that, it won't look flattering on you. Don't cut your hair, what if your head's the wrong shape? It's not so bad, you can take it. You're strong. A strong woman in the making. Don't you want to live your dreams? Like we told you you could. If the patriarchy was how the whole world worked, then how could my own work so very differently? I've met the kind of men they were talking about in the meantime. Been in those spaces void of women, where men run free and feral. And sure, there's walls made of men there that I run into, and twisted chivalry imposed on me. But I also see how repressed and sad those men are, how society devalues them and starves them of emotion, as if that's all they deserve. How it makes them believe that themselves. When I look at them, I don't see terrible monsters. I see pathetic, starving creatures, grateful for whatever scraps of kindness you give them. And because I'm not afraid of them, they eat out of my fucking hand. Have the storytellers of my youth ever actually gone there and tried that? If patriarchy and misogyny were all there is to it, then those of us who are most othered by patriarchy, most at risk of misogyny by virtue of being most disadvantaged by it, should be the ones to most strongly believe that men have it better, right? So why is it that in my experience, butch AFAB people tend to have much stronger opinions about male privilege than someone like me or most cis women I know? Whether it is various lesbian feminist movements, or the women in the documentary Man for a Day about this ladies drag king workshop, or the straight passing trans guys on Anthony Padilla's show recently, all agreeing that male privilege is real and great, actually, a sentiment which a lot of other passing trans guys would disagree with because they see the downsides of being a man just as much, if not more clearly. Or the dysphoric pre-med transmasculine people who I've talked to, who seem so very stuck on the idea that any and all cis men have it oh so good. And yes, that usually includes the queer ones. Meanwhile, I am more conventionally femme than them. I unflinchingly and consistently get gendered and treated as a cis woman even post-transition, unlike some of them even pre-transition. I work in male-dominated spaces where I tend to be the only femme in the room among a horde of straight-passing cis dudes. Yay to being a spark, woohoo. Still, I don't see men as privileged. They have it better in some ways, I have it better in others. It feels overall relatively balanced. I know several cishet women in my life who straight up believe feminism isn't necessary anymore. That it has done its job and they are no longer oppressed as women. We've done it, guys. We've solved sexism. Everybody clap. Incredible. I've not experienced much hardcore misogyny in my life, despite being gendered as a girl for all of it. And even in hypermasc spaces where I have, the negatives of male experience have been oppressively apparent. Expendability, devaluing themselves, emotional illiteracy, no communication or peer support. It's sad. Men make me sad. If patriarchy were the only force at work, how could the femmes, even the queer ones, think they have it better than the butches? There has to be some kind of privilege and advantage that comes with femininity and adhering to the female gender roles that butch AFABs are simply missing out on, while still experiencing misogyny by virtue of passing as women, and then the advantages of passing as straight passing men once they do, which leads to their extreme views on patriarchy and male privilege that other misogyny affected people don't share. You don't want to liberate women from patriarchy, you just want to be part of it. So to reiterate, as we've established in our men's videos, men can oppress and be oppressed by both their outgroup and their in-group. Women can be shitty to both their in-group and their outgroup because they're human. We can't all agree that women are humans, right? If not, I recommend that you go to your kitchen and you pour yourself a huge glass of respecting women juice and you chug it, and then you come back here. And the most patriarchally oppressed people are not the ones who most strongly believe that men have it better. Patriarchy alone as a system doesn't explain any of those things. There is a missing link here, and it is called matriarchy. Gender roles are the overarching system, and patriarchy and matriarchy are its two wings, one for each traditional gender role. Men and women are both complicit in upholding the system that oppresses them and the rest of us. Disclaimers. Things we're not trying to do here today imply prescriptive gender roles were a good idea to begin with. Imply that as a woman, you need to or should conform to or even like all of the things associated with the female gender role. Imply misogyny isn't real. Imply being a woman doesn't come with negatives. Imply feminism has done nothing right ever. Imply that if someone holds privilege or power in one aspect, they can't be oppressed in another. Imply that the most intersectionally disadvantaged people in a matriarchal in-group are as much at fault as the most intersectionally privileged. Things we are trying to do today demonstrate that gender-conforming cishet women hold inherent power on the matriarchy just like gender-conforming cishet men do on the patriarchy. Demonstrate that matriarchal power can be something positive, useful, enabling, and empowering for the person holding it, just like patriarchal power. Demonstrate that it can also be used to oppress and abuse people, just like patriarchal power. Demonstrate that women are complicit in upholding gender roles, just like men. Demonstrate that not only women are subject to the female gender role, both in who wields its power and who is subjugated by its expectations. Establish what the female gender role entails, because you need to establish the rules before you can break them down. This is a new angle on gender theory compared to anything that I've encountered so far, so there are still things that I struggle to put into words. I shall try my best, and at the end of the day I'm putting this out there for other people to build upon and help them form their own thoughts on the subject. So please don't look at this as a wanna be-all end-all of matriarchy theory, and more as a foundation and framework to use for yourself. We encourage having your own thoughts here on my channel. I'm just here to give you something to feed them with, you know? I'm talking gender roles, their expectations, and the patterns that result from them, not any gender as if it were a monolith. If I say women do this, men do that, I don't mean all women or all men. I mean the prescriptive gender roles of woman TM and man TM. Most people will not fit all the things those entail in one way or another anyway. I am not on men's or women's side in this. I am against both matriarchy and patriarchy as oppressive systems. Everyone is involved in those systems in some way or another, even me. I have criticisms about stupid shit men, women, and queer people do, and I want men, women, and queer people to be treated equally and fairly and with empathy. Whichever side you are biased towards, I am not your enemy. I am about as neutral of a third party as you're gonna find. I could not care less about petty squabbles between each other, okay? As I'm unpacking my own trauma, I'm finding how much of it stems from matriarchy and its derivatives. So the subject is personal to me, and I shall not be above trauma bias, just like plenty of feminist writers and screeching manosphere bros defending the Joker movie before me. I'll try and put sources that I used in the description if there's something that sounds like it should have a specific source but doesn't have one down there. It just means I tried to find it and I could not for the life of me remember where I'd heard about it, and I just couldn't find a source for it, so sorry about that. I tried. Academic referencing is some patriarchal nonsense anyway. Here at the Matriarchy, we just take our gossip, talk shit, and see what happens. So, safeguarding, as usual. If you bring bad vibes to my comment section, I will channel meet you and you will never comment on my channel again. The strangers in my DMs will also be blocked. Please tread carefully and save commenting, everybody. Now, to keep things fair, I will include some common interjections and concerns one tends to get with these kind of subjects. To preempt you, my dear audience, having to bother with that and risk getting yourself channel muted for bringing bad vibes to my comments section. For this purpose, I've employed a devil's advocate, and
Excuse you? I will be no man's advocate.
Are you assuming the devil's a man? Alright, you can be a devil in your own right. Happy.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Thomas. I am here today, ladies, to represent all of your incredibly valid concerns and the darkest depths of your mind. See, Ren isn't a woman. They could not possibly know what it is like.
Aren't they?
All of the troubles that women go through on a daily basis because of that darned patriarchy. Women have been oppressed by men for centuries, nay, millennia. Men are violent, uncaring monsters who do not even see us as human. And I, for one, will not stand for it. I do this for my fellow women and for feminism. I will take questions.
Good darling, ma'am. Of the Minority Olympics Daily, you are a heterosexual white cis woman, is that correct?
Mostly, yes.
How do you plan to represent all women's views when you yourself find yourself in such a privileged position?
That was in the answer.
Good darling, ma'am.
Cat mon chaton. Is it privilege to be whistled at on the street by strange men who think they can own you with their very gaze? Is it privilege to earn less than your male co-workers, even though you work twice as hard? Is it privilege to be blamed for the violence that happens to you because of what you were wearing, because you were asking for it? No. No. I do not think I am privileged or any less qualified to talk about women's issues than the next woman.
So what are those women's issues?
Issues that affect women, obviously.
Is that so?